How's it going, everyone? Jiivita here with a leveling tips type video. This is basically going over my favorite way to level, as well as some other ways that I favor a little bit less, but they're still effective, and I've certainly heard of other people doing it. This is by no means my own unique method. I have been using this way back. It's ever since early access. It's just now with the Forge and everything else, it's even more effective. So, but basically the concept of this is to gather massive amounts of rock and then craft it into stone, preferably with the benefit of some teaching food. So if you're unfamiliar, teaching foods will increase your experience. If you use a pie, it will be increased by 100% or doubles the experience gained. So you can, well, double your experience. That's kind of why not. If you're going to use a teaching pie, you can queue up all of your crafting tables with as much stone as you possibly can, and then just go do something else or log out. The one thing you want to do is before you walk into range of your crafting tables to collect the experience, you want to eat that teaching food, and then you'll get double experience. You can actually even log back out into the sanctum, and that will preserve the duration of your food buff. So you can queue up a whole bunch of rock, eat your teaching food, go to the sanctum, go to your miner, collect up a bunch more rock, and once all that first batch of rock has done crafting, you can queue up the second batch while your food buff is still on your character that you're leveling. Or if you're focusing on one character, you could use that teaching buff to go help get extra experience while you're mining. The lowest I've seen teaching pies is around 1,000, 1,500 might be a more average price. So generally how I do this is I have my stone area right here. This is just overflow for rock, but then all of these shop stands are full of rock. So I came over here and did some hasty math. So each stand holds about 1,400 rock. That's going to give me a total of basically 130,000 rocks for my 9 stands. That comes out to 7,200 mass crafts of stone, which results in, let's see, 360,000 pieces of stone. You get 2 experience per stone that you craft, so that's going to come out to 720,000 experience. If you use a teaching pie, then that's going to be, let's see here, essentially 1.5 million experience, or 7.2 level 50 pluses. Each level 50 plus is 200,000 experience. So yeah, that is a lot of experience. Of course, it's going to take a while to get that much stone, but I came over here and made a hasty little kind of experience calculator. So I kind of figured about 16 smart stacks of stone is about as much as you're probably going to stuff in here, because you're going to have to, like, let's see, there's going to be a stack of iron, maybe a stack of coal, some fragments, maybe some flint, maybe even a second stack of flint, plus your normal tools. So I could probably skinny out some of this other stuff if all I'm going after is rock. But yeah, about, let's say, 16 smart stacks of stone. That's still going to come out to 160,000 experience, which is about 80% of a level 50 plus. Certainly if you're not already level 50 on the character you're trying to level up, then that could be 2 or 3 levels depending on how low they actually are. That is the wonderful thing about this method, is that you can go out and gather all this rock on your main character that doesn't really need the experience, and then feed it to somebody else, say like a crafter or a stealth gatherer, or just any low level character that really can't go out and effectively level on their own. So that is one of my favorite things about this method. The other really nice thing about this method is that this works really well early game, mid game. The one thing you're probably wondering, how in the world am I going to get so much rock? And basically, a forged hammer. So get a hammer that has AoE forged onto it, and preferably something like, if you're only interested in the experience, you can go to a low level world where the rock is relatively easy to break and use a low level hammer like either iron or titanium, depending on what you need to break the rock quickly enough. 1 to 2 hits is certainly preferable, but if it takes more, it takes more. So if you're interested in forging the AoE hammers yourself, I've made videos on how to do low-level AoE forging as well as high-level AoE forging Forging can be pretty mat intensive, but you can also go out, do a little bit of shopping, and many shops will have essentially less than ideal hammers up for sale. Say maybe they're trying to make a high-end hammer and it only ended up being the cross pattern or just wasn't as much damage, so it's sold at a reduced price. And so you can pick up some pretty decent hammers on the pretty cheap. So you can go out, maybe get some surface resources, sell them for a little bit of coin, go out and buy a hammer. If you buy a particularly nice hammer or you forge a particularly nice hammer, certainly using a persisting pie while you're mining for stone will help that investment last longer. So this persisting pie will make your tool last 40% longer. Another thing you can do to stretch your investment even further and speed up your experience gaining process is to spec one of your characters solely for mining. So having max power along with the attribute bonus with maximum hammer mastery along with the damage epic, that's going to give you as much damage as possible. That means you're going to need a lower quality hammer in order to 1 or 2 shot the rock. And furthermore, you can come up here and pick up maximum dexterity, and that's going to allow you to swing as fast as possible with whatever hammer you're actually using. Another great thing to pick up would be the durability epic right here. That's going to make your gear last another 30% longer. So with that in the pie, you can really stretch out how long your equipment lasts and in turn your wallet. So that's kind of basically what I would recommend. The really cool thing about this method is that it doesn't really matter where you go mining as long as you can afford to mine there. So if you want to go mining for gems, silver, gold, titanium, if you can 1 or 2 shot the rock, then you're also getting lots of experience at the same time in the form of stone. Not to mention the stone that you're actually mining also gives you experience. So you could use an experience pie while mining. I personally don't like doing that because I generally want to stretch out my tools, but if you can one-shot rock on a tier 6 planet and get gems at the same time you're getting rock to level your alts or even to use on your main character, all the more power to you. So but certainly taking a titanium AoE hammer on a level 1 world that will usually, even if there's no extra damage on it, it'll like 1 or 2 shot the rock, and you can get 16 smart stacks of rock in really surprisingly short amount of time. And an additional thing I keep forgetting to talk about is that you can take all of that stone that you crafted and do other things with it. You can build, you can craft it into decorative blocks, you can refine it. You could actually just take all of the stone and for really no additional cost turn it into refined stone for a little bit of extra experience. It's just not going to be that much, but it is something you can do to squeak just that little tiny bit more out of it. Another great way to level if you like to optimize all of the fun out of your game as you possibly can. I've never tried this, but I've heard it's a great way, is to place a block and chisel it 3 times, break the block, and rinse and repeat. Naturally, if you use teaching food, you're going to double your experience from this. So let's see, if we do the rock, that's going to be 8 experience per chisel, and then 24 per block that you chisel. So you could set up a whole bunch of blocks, chisel each one 3 times for up to 48 experience per block. And let's see if this titanium, oh well, I can't even touch that. Okay, and so as you can see, the type of block you're chiseling actually does matter. So if we can do gold, you can get up to 96 experience per block. And so yeah, you either just take the same gold block, break it over and over, or if you have enough to actually put down multiple, then you can really speed things up. Not to mention you will get experience for breaking and placing these blocks, so that actually brings me to the next way that I actually have used this way to level, is to basically place remove, and then replace the same high level block over and over. About as far as I can tell, machine titanium is going to give you the most experience for the cheapest block to craft. Not that machine titanium is really that cheap to craft, but as you can see, each time you place a piece of machine titanium, it's 40 experience. So with a pie, that'll be 80 experience, and just kind of spam this stuff down. And then you can use whatever hammer you prefer. I usually use iron. As long as you can one-shot the block, it doesn't really matter what hammer you use. So go ahead and break this. You get experience for breaking the blocks, but not very much. I think it's 2 experience per block when breaking, but 80 experience for each time you place it is pretty nice. So that is 2 perfectly extremely boring ways to level. Another way that works pretty well, especially in like your early 20s all the way through maybe mid 30s, is to go out and solo low-level meteors on either level 3 or 4 planets, and they actually recently added experience for completing meteors. So now when you complete a meteor and you loot the loot box, you get a chunk of experience. That chunk of experience is dependent on the level of the planet, not the level of the meteor. So you could go to a level 4 planet, do a whole bunch of level 1 meteors, and get a fairly decent amount of experience just from completing them, not to mention from killing all of the creatures. The reason why I say solo it is if you're with other players, they'll be taking a portion of your experience, and as long as you can kill things reasonably well and take very little damage, then it's pretty decent experience. You can use teaching food, except the problem with that is you spend a lot of your time, or a lot of your buff time, running from one place to another between meteors. So the teaching food isn't as attractive, but you can still make the most out of each meteor by doing that. Kinetic armor is particularly important since it protects you from single target damage, but impulse, armor, and resistance is nice to have too. Okay, well that pretty well covers the tips that I had for this video. The nice thing about these tips is that you can mix and match them pretty much any which way you want. So say you want to do the meteor method, you'll get lots of animal drops. You could even go on community hunts to get extra community drops or get them faster, have a little bit more fun doing it. Sell those drops for money to then go buy your hammers to go mining, or maybe buy some nice blocks for either chiseling or building, say, towers, or to basically place and then replace for experience. And yeah, there's any number of ways you can mix and match these options, not to mention to buy foods to help make it more efficient and use your time more wisely. But this was Jiivita. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more like this, and if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down below. Also, if you like my channel, want to get cool perks, check out my Patreon page. Until next time, peace.